Check 1, 2, 3. Good day, friends. Good day. It's Monday, which means nothing. It's one of those things where we always say, well, it's Monday. Doesn't mean anything. I want to start off with something a little interesting, I think. And I'm going to give you two examples of something. First, something which I find exceedingly fascinating. Let me turn this light on here. I want to read something to you, and I want you to tell me what this means. This is from Neil Gaiman. This is a quote. Fairy tales are more than true, not because they tell us that dragons exist, but because they tell us that dragons can be beaten. What does that mean? Now think about what you're doing. Think about what you're doing. It doesn't mean dragons. It's a metaphor, it's an analogy, it's a reference, it's asking you to be symbolic, to understand the symbology, the semiotics of words, for you to go a little bit beyond this. And this is what a schizophrenic person could not do. One of the tests they would do, they wouldn't be able to understand it. Literalism. Psychosis does not, it interferes with your ability to symbolize. Isn't that interesting? You're hallucinating. You would think you would be able to grasp things better, but you don't. Now, second question. This will tell me a little bit about your age, a little bit about where you're from, a little bit about your frame of reference. I'm going to give you a quote and tell me where it's from. I'm going to give you an exact quote. And it's and you'll talk about this in a moment. Let me get the exact quote here. By the way, this is from a newsletter, my newsletter that's going out. When I say newsletter, it's really an email that has some quotes and ideas and things for you to consider. Okay, here's the quote. In the garden, growth has its seasons. First comes spring and summer, but then we have fall and winter. And then we get spring and summer again. Where is that from? Where is that from? Tell me where that's from and what that means and why is that important. I'll give you two examples. Two. Why is that? Let me also give you this link to the newsletter. Please sign up for this. I don't know why people, sometimes they will unsubscribe from a brilliant email and they'll just say, I don't want that. But you'll get 1 million Allbirds references. Okay, where is this from? Where is this from? Being there, correct. One of the most important messages, one of the most important movies, Jerzy Kosinski, ever. Every time I see it, I understand something more. I get it. I understand it. I grasp it. And he, in very, by the way, Chauncey Gardner, there's a football player named Chauncey Gardner. I did not know that. I looked up one time, it's Chance the Gardener, and then it was Chauncey Gardner, and then it was all kinds of variations of such. And I remember seeing this. I remember first time I saw it, I said, this is religion, this is politics, this is popular art, this is popular culture, people saying nothing. I saw this article, this killed me. I howled at this. Howled. I got to read this to you. Okay, ready for this? This is from the Washington Examiner. Tommy Lahren predicts Biden is in for a bloodbath in debate with 2024 GOP nominee. Tommy Lahren. Barely 30 years old. Tommy Lahren, the wunderkind, the voice of republicanism and conservative thought. Tommy Lahren, making millions to say nothing. I like to watch, Ben, in the spring. Let's do it again. I mean, how perfect was this? Let's recite this. This is Fox News. In the garden, growth has its seasons. First comes spring and summer, but then we have fall and winter, and then we get spring and summer again. Remember the housekeeper, the black housekeeper? She said, that boy is crazy. She saw right through him. But the elites couldn't see it. They couldn't handle it. And it goes back to what I said originally about the inability to abstract. That's what we are. That's what America is in particular. I can't speak for other countries, but I'm sure we're not the only ones. Do you see what's happening here? It is incredible. It is so fascinating. And especially the world that I'm supposedly a part of, these people who keep focusing on this refrain on transgender. They won't let transgender go. This is all they care about. Funny people with weird hair, or people with studs, and people doing TikTok dances. Can you see that? Can you see what's going on? And I'm thinking, you're missing the point. Everybody's missing the point. They're not able to abstract. And I love this idea about fairy tales, about making you think that we can slay the dragon. I did something last night. I thought it was fascinating. On the notion of the devil. And there are people who believe in the devil. And have never researched it. Believe in something this catastrophic, important, the existence of the devil, the application, the central focus of evil, and they don't know anything about it. They think it's in the Bible, which they swear they know. They don't know. They've never studied this. They just kind of heard it. There's a little bit of an anecdotal thing, maybe. And they say it. Then we talked about Marxism. Somebody said, it was a very good point last night, that in their country they said this was Marxism, and they're confusing Marxism with communism, with totalitarianism, with authoritarianism. And I have been blown away all night and this morning listening to how we don't understand anything. But we're walking around cocksure, and somebody said, I'm going to hire Tommy Lahren, because she has blonde hair and she's young, to say something that's nothing, that's meaningless, as an imposter, as a synthetic simulacrum of something to give you the impression that there's some news going on here. And there are people who say, I don't know about you, but if I can't believe how we don't know. And by the way, this is also something. I was watching this wonderful, I think his name was Brown, these ADD lectures. I say, that's America. I have a friend of mine who said, well, I'm looking at whether I have diabetes or not. I said, oh, okay. All right. That's interesting. It's interesting. And we're just talking. Now, I don't know about you, but when anybody talks about anything, I mean, I know it. I said, what about your A1C levels? Do you know what that means? Do you know what diabetes is? Do you know the role of insulin and insulin resistance and the pancreas? And never. Did you maybe go online and know? There's some great YouTube lectures, and you can read, depending upon how deep you want to go, you can listen to physician boards, doctors taking their boards, their tests for board certification. If you really want to go deep, you tell me. Never looked. Doesn't know what it is. Something about sugar. A disease that will profoundly change his life, knows nothing about it. Never looked it up. People who swear there is a thing called the devil, never looked it up. People who talk about Marxism and communism and Leninism cannot define it, don't understand it. People who purportedly lived in countries in communism cannot explain it. Never studied it. And then I'm thinking to myself, maybe it's not their fault. It's the same way that a schizophrenic can't understand, can't symbolize things. Cat got your tongue. Jerry, what does that mean? I don't know. We are a country that is becoming psychotic. And by the way, psychotic doesn't necessarily mean that you're hearing voices, though that's a part of it. Your organizational part, you can't understand it. You're a mess. You don't know what's happening. It's too much. So what you do is you'll focus on something that is kind of easy, like, okay, I don't know. This Erdogan business in Turkey, I don't know. But I do know that there's a woman with green hair who is speaking at a school board, and she wants to teach boys to have periods. That I can get. That's where we are. How many are still looking at Tucker Carlson? It doesn't matter. It's too late. It's gone. Tucker, I told you, they played this one out. You have left. When you come back in whatever iteration and how you were played by Elon Musk, who is playing you again with this new CEO, she's not going to, she is probably more woke than anything you've ever seen before. He's brilliant. He's playing you. It's a mess. Your whole world is a mess. You don't know what's happening. You're probably looking at Fox News and thinking, is this the news? No. What is it? It's not anything you think it is. Nothing. You don't know anything. You've never studied. You're being told constantly, don't do anything. We will tell you what to react to and act and with and all. Do not read this. Do not go into it. I told you, the real good stuff, the inside skinny, the other kind of like the dark web without dark web of politics, the other side. Everybody's saying in this group, Gretchen Whitmer is going to replace Kamala Harris, who's going to replace Dianne Feinstein and do a switcheroo and move that. This is going on as we speak. And yet, I look at something, and the Washington Examiner has, as a story, and with all due respect, I'm sure she's a lovely woman. I don't know Tomi Lahren. She's a child. She says nothing. She says nothing. And this is considered the creme de la creme, the NFL of political commentary. If you're a conservative, you watch Fox News. Dear God, this is what, and nobody knows anything. Nobody reads anything. Nobody knows anything. They're still calling AOC a socialist. She's not a socialist. Not even close to a socialist. People don't know I've never seen anything like it. I asked my friend again, do you understand what is happening? Do you understand what is happening? Do you grasp it? No. How important is transgenderism in the country? In the country. It's not anything. It's on TV because it's low-hanging fruit. It's simple. It's simple. I've got to tell you something. We're like, we have become Chauncey Gardner. We just point to things that are just obvious, and we say, this is wrong. This is Mother's Day, and mothers are women, and that's it. And I like Trump, and he's good. And MAGA. Okay, great. Do you follow what's happening with Turkey? No. That's big. Now, I wrote this thing out. And I'm constantly grabbing to it. It's my notes. I still like to keep little notes. And I'm trying to come up with a kind of like a continuum of things. And if you sit down and I were to do, and I'm thinking about, I would love to do somehow a summer boot camp for parents and children to talk about things. And I swear to God, I would never say anything about politics. I would just explain the rudiments of it. And I would say, in order to be a sentient human being, and an American, because that's all I know right now, we're going to look at some certain things. First, you have to understand foreign policy. You have to have this. This is a part of your toolkit, your quiver. Foreign policy. Have to understand that. Not everything, but understand that separate and distinct from your immediate existence and going to the gym and your keto diets and whatever it is that you do, and your ab work and watching Taylor Swift and these phony baloney, this myth of Taylor Swift. That's okay. There exists a world called foreign policy. How you coexist and exist among other countries, political parties, movements, and the like. Then there's foreign policy. And then there's this overall kind of a generic understood concept called domestic policy. Domestic, local politics, political issues, and that we'll discuss. Then, something which is almost, believe it or not, sometimes these are actually contained within the rubric of others, but still they're just as important. Law and order. Law and order is the most important. Ricky Lee, thank you, Ricky Lee. Chucky's in love. Dandy's All-Star Joint, thank you. They got a jukebox that goes doink, doink. Law and order. Absolutely separate and distinct, and we'll talk about law and order. Next, something that doesn't really have to do with politics per se, but sort of social movements, social things that are happening that have really that aren't spoken to specifically by Joe Biden, but or Trump or anybody, but they're social movements, things about sexuality or attitudinal. There's really not a governmental position on transgenderism, but that's an example. Next, cultural. What is our culture? What is the American culture? The most fascinating question, if you think about culture. Next, historical. If you don't understand history, you go to a doctor, history is important. Have you ever had this before? Does anyone in your family have this? Have you had an outbreak of this? I don't know. Is this the first time you've ever had symptoms of this? I don't know. Have you ever seen this before? I don't know. You couldn't help anybody. Are you currently taking any medication? I don't know. That's what history is. Critical. Next. And this is even more difficult to explain. Tradition. Oh, I love that. What is tradition? Well, a lot of times you think, well, tradition, you think about it in terms of holidays. Tradition. What's Halloween? What's Christmas? What's whatever. This is tradition. Almost societal, cultural, traditional. And then finally, there's this weird aspect called identity. The identity of us as Americans, or if you're Scottish or Armenians or whatever it is. What is your thing? I love to see sometimes on YouTube when I see food bloggers, people who identify themselves. What is it? And if you really want to understand somebody, look at their food. You can't understand India unless you... India's food is so different from any... Just the spices tell you everything. Okay. So that's kind of where we are right now. That's kind of sort of maybe where we are. But we are not paying any kind of an attention to anything, even remotely similar to what's going on right now. Nothing. And I want to talk to you about why don't we learn things? Why isn't there a stampede for you to go? Especially right now, you don't even need libraries. This is the most incredible thing, this paradox. Why don't people want to know enough about, explain how this works? I've never seen, I don't know. They just, it's like surface level stuff. I've never seen anything like it now. In the old days, it would say, look, I'd love to read this, but I can't go to the library. I can't go, okay, fine. I'd love to read this. I don't know this, the history of whatever this is. I don't know. I can't figure this out, but that's... Now, right now, as we speak, the biggest thing we have to talk about is what is not important. Listen to me. I'm going to ask you a question. What is not important? Tell me. And I'm going to tell you something right off the bat. I'm going to start this off. Enough with this transgender business. We have played that to death. That is a distraction. Stop it. Stop it. I have not seen one transgender anywhere on the street, at a store, maybe. I'm in New York City, Manhattan, as they say. For some reason, we don't say T's anymore. I don't know why. Mrs. Martin. What? Martin. Where did the T go? I don't know. Why do you talk like that? Everybody's talking like that now. I don't know where they are. I don't know. A little bit here, a little bit there. But if you watch social media, and if you watch libs of TikTok, and if you do this or whatever, you'll swear it's nothing but 24/7 transgenderism and puberty blockers and all of this stuff. So, first of all, enough. This is not that important. I'm sorry. It's not. I can't find it. I've got friends of mine in Florida and in Tennessee and in one in Minnesota. Physicians, doctors. I said, where is this? I don't know. Do you know anybody? I don't know where this is. But this just does nothing but distract you. Then there was something that was interesting. Joe Biden, did you hear? Joe Biden, I read this and I thought, you have got to give these people the most incredible credit. I want to read this to you. This is from Howard University. Where is this? I want to get this correctly. I don't want to misquote this. This is in the newsletter. Sign up for this. This goes out today, about 4 o'clock roughly. I try my best to review it over and over and proofread it. And when if I find a mistake, I go crazy. Okay, here we go. Pops Biden, the White House occupant, was awarded an honorary doctorate degree from Howard University for his, listen to this, I'm not kidding you, analytical intellect and popularity on both sides. Do you see what's happening? Do you see what's happening? Then there was somebody who had a sign. You always have the mortarboard, somebody who writes a little message on the hey, hope you saw this in debt. Thanks, Mom and Dad. Okay. And there was a sign that said, Joe Biden doesn't care about black people. Here's my question. Does politics care about you? Does your government have to care about you? What is the role of your government? First question, what is the role of your government? To care about you? You think Joe Biden's role is to care about you or black people? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? What does government do? First question. You want to look that up? No, of course not. I'm too busy looking at these ringtones from this trans neighbor who came over. I don't know what this trans fixation is. I'm bored with it. I know. I've seen it. Okay, I got it. Let's move on. What is the role of government? This is the most important. This defies your first starting off point. What is the role of government? Tell me. Where? What is it? Nobody knows. They never even thought about it before. They have no idea. We're the most incredible. You watch, just watch, listen to anything. And I keep pointing to, I don't watch Newsmax, so I don't know what they're saying. OAN does some good stuff too. But the only thing I hear about Fox News. I don't watch any of it now. I used to watch the first 5 minutes of Tucker Carlson, but that's done. He is lost. I told you about his gravitational pull, and people just got into him too much because he's their boyfriend. They love him. There's this love affair with Tucker Carlson. I don't know what it is. He said nothing. He said nothing that was anything that even remotely that fascinating. But you were just so smitten by this. Did you hear what he said? He said there was a uniparty. Oh my God, I love that man. It's 80 years old. At least. Wendell Willkie talked about that. What? Well, maybe for you, but I love Tucker Carlson. They fired him. Oh my God. This guy was played. And I still tell you again, Elon Musk said, I never said you can come over here. I never said. Let's see Tucker's big shot lawyer who got Megyn Kelly, whatever it was. People got paid on their contracts. Wow. Thank you. You mean to tell me your lawyer got you paid on your contract? So you, wow. What do you think they're going to do? Tell Tucker, hey, you know what? Come to think of it, you're kind of a jerk. So we're just not going to pay you anymore. I don't think it works like that. But they're shelving him. They're parking him. They're diluting him. He's going to go the way of Jon Stewart. He's going to go the way of Bill O'Reilly. These guys were they were bigger than anything. Anything. Don't you see what's happening with this? It's like I don't understand why this is even remotely interesting. Right now, there's a world reset. Erdogan is in a runoff. Wow. Precept Erdogan in Turkey. You mean Turkey? No, Turkey. What? Turkey. Okay. This guy and Putin like this. This guy in China like this. And he's part of NATO. And for the longest time, he's been doing a dance. And he is critical. Remember a couple of rules. Part of the boot camp. Number 1. When somebody wears a suit, if somebody's Middle Eastern, Turkey's a different thing. This is between Europe and Asia. It's a weird kind of a mentality. But when somebody wears a suit, that changes the dynamic. Bashar al-Assad wears a suit. Saddam Hussein, I wore a suit, but wore a uniform every night, but wore a suit. Gaddafi, no. Didn't wear a suit. Remember that. Very interesting. What's going to happen? Big time. What's happening right now regarding Ukraine? What does it matter? What does it matter? The future, an East-West conflict, the future of NATO. This is East versus West, Europe versus, oh my God. See, Americans have been taught for the longest time, we don't worry about that. That's their problem. We worry about stuff here. We worry about stuff that's happening just here. This is huge. This is bigger than ever. Now, the next issue. what's going to happen in 2024. Look at this thing right now. Remember what I just asked you. Now, what do you want? What's going to happen? What's going to happen? First question, does it make any difference? Does it make any difference? Does it make any difference? Does it? Do you think anything's going to change? If Donald Trump were president, what would be the first thing? Let me ask you something. If Donald Trump were the president right now, if I said at noon, Trump's president, through some crazy machination of whatever, what do you think would happen? What would be the first thing that you would notice at noon? What would be the first thing that you would notice at noon? Forget the inauguration. Forget this. At noon, he's president. Everybody's at Donald Trump's in. What would you notice first? What would you notice? What would be the first one? What would you feel? What would be the first thing you notice? It's simple, obvious. The very, 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 very first thing you would notice immediately. Well, or rephrase, what would be the first thing he would do? What? First thing. The first thing he would do is you would see all immigration stop. Stop. Immediately. Emergency orders, stop. 82nd Airborne, whatever, stop. It would be so drastic and deliberately so. It is so drastic. You would see rushes at the border. You would see the most incomprehensibly demonstrative show of force you've ever seen to show people specifically, this is what we're going to do. It would end immediately. Immediately. First thing right now. Southern border. That's it. Not that complicated. It would be like, whoa! Wait a minute. And everything internally, oh my God. Everything would stop. Buses. We see all these white buses here we have the Port Authority here. We were there the other day. We see these big white buses. The people pull up with the new immigrants. Nobody knows who they are. Where are they going? We don't know where they're going. But that would be the first thing you would notice drastically. And that's, by the way, whether it's Trump or whether it's DeSantis or anybody else for that matter. Go back and do it the way you're supposed to. Check it out. Be vetted. Who are you? Where are you coming in? Well, how long are you going to be here? Go through the process. Do this stuff. Blah, 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 blah. Watch what happens. Watch what happens. Now, people have this crazy idea that somehow the stock market would soar again. No, it wouldn't. Stock market has nothing to do with this. Who runs the stock market? What is the stock market? What do you think it is? Does it rise and fall on good news? No, it doesn't. Absolutely not. You still have the people running the stock. You still have people running the economy. You still have BlackRock. You still have Vanguard. You still have these other people. They don't care about this. They're still there. You're not going to change anything. Watch your second Anheuser-Busch. That Dylan Mulvaney thing was so important, so critical, you don't even realize it. Stock market has nothing to do with it because you still have the human rights campaign. You still have that EIC. You still have Schwab. You still have ESG. You still have all these people. This is the most important thing in the world. There are two aspects of this. First, there is a virus. There is a system that controls this country that has nothing to do with your vote, nothing to do with your plebiscite, nothing to do with anything. It has nothing to do with that. Do you hear what I'm saying? It has nothing to do with that. Whether Biden's in, whether Gretchen Whitmer's in, whether it's Newsom, whether it's DeSantis, whether it's Trump, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's already there. It's in place. Big time. What do? You still have cartels, still have fentanyl, still have everything. That's not going anywhere. People have this idea. They sit back and they say, well, whatever. They're looking at Elon Musk, and Elon Musk is saying, do you think that I'm some hero? Do you think that I'm the good guy? Are you kidding me? Do you think that I'm the good guy? I'm just like these people. I just got a bigger mouth. How do you know I'm not put here just to give the impression that I'm the anti-corporatist, the anti-globalist? Look who we put in for a CEO. The same person. Same everything. You think Elon Musk on his own, if they said, if his fellow billionaires and monsters of Silicon Valley, whatever, if they said, get him, they could shut him down in a heartbeat. If ever there was an example of the limited hangout, it's Elon Musk. Because you perceive him to be the answer, the voice, the proud, bold, come on, stop it. That's not going to change. Because much of what we're seeing right now is so inborn and inbred, and it's like a virus. It's like a computer virus that's so entangled in this system. You can't believe what's happening right now. So Trump would be good, or just said or something to maybe undo that. But that would be step one. What would happen next? What would you notice? What would the first things be that you would be able to feel? That you would be able to feel and notice. What would happen? It gets really difficult because a lot of it has to do, for example, at the local level, schools and things like that and what have you. What would really be the first thing you would notice would be obviously the coverage, because it's very simple to show. Look, here are the soldiers and Marines. Oh, look, 82nd Airborne. Oh, look, here's the 1st Marine Division. Oh, look, they're at the border. Wow, they've, I guess Posse Comitatus has been, adapted or adjusted so much to allow this, because this is sort of law enforcement. That would be it. But tell me, what would you notice? What would you notice? What? Now, Ukraine, what would happen with that? I think the very first thing that would be done, I would hope. You still have Congress. Trump or whoever the president is, not going to affect Congress. Nobody has ever said, where is an accounting? If Kevin McCarthy went on every TV show, if Mitch McConnell went on every TV show, if you were tweeted, if Marjorie Taylor Greene, if Matt Gaetz, if Boebert, if everybody were to go on every TV show and say, where is the accounting? Where is the money? Where did it go to Ukraine? Where is it? Where is it? Who got it? Where is it? If that was a refrain, somebody would say, okay. But that doesn't happen. Why do you think that hasn't happened? Let me ask you a question. Why isn't anybody saying, where did that money go? Simple. Because they got the money too. When you dole out money, do you think, excuse me, Republicans, no, this is just for Democrats. No. This money for Ukraine, no, this is going, well, this supposedly is a weapons system, but this goes to Raytheon, and this goes out to General Dynamics, and this goes, and all the, You understand this? No, it doesn't work like that. Democrats say, come here. Because you still think, to use your uniparty thing, you still think there's two parties. That's why nobody said anything. That's why the problem is that the system is so corrupt right now, it doesn't matter who's in charge. What are you going to do? What is going to do? So much of this has to be done at the local level. So what I want you to understand is, while that's great, and while everything is terrific, and you think, oh, this is great, 2024, and Trump is going to come in, there's very little that's going to change once he's in there, because this, in less than a year, well, not less than a year, since 2021, since Inauguration Day, everything changed drastically. Drastically. How do you get rid of this mentality? Where did this come from? And by the way, when are you going to feel the results of what's going on right now? Let me give you an example. I mentioned diabetes before, and by the way, you should really be very, very careful. You should always check your numbers and your levels and talk to your physician and know what's going on. Know your A1C levels and all that kind of stuff. But here's the funny thing about diabetes, and this is why it's so deadly. It's asymptomatic, so you don't feel it. Later on, you might have renal failure, you might have eye problems, you might have a heart, you may have problems that are attendant to them, but you don't feel it necessarily right away. That's what's dangerous. That's what's dangerous. You don't notice it. Same thing with smoking. Smoke now. You don't get sick right now. You get sick years from now. Not right now. Later on. And that feeling of, I'm okay, that's the deadly part. That's the problem. So here's my question to you. What are you going to feel right now? Where would you look? Look first, children. Look what happened. Look at children right now. Look at their schools. Look what happened. Look to the future. Look what happened just during COVID. Look what happened. Look at where kids are today. Just look at the state. If anybody, and just ask teachers. Ask first line defense. Look at the eye contact problem. We're seeing gradations of, I don't know what this stuff is, but there's something obviously wrong with these people. And it's social. Now, I mentioned foreign policy, domestic policy, law and order, social movements, cultural, historical, tradition, and identity, all of these things. But then there's this thing kind of like the health part of this. It's kind of like mental health, social health, the way we are. It's really. Remember the Karens are still there? Remember the crazy people? They're still there. People on the street, degenerates, the psychiatrically gone. They're not everywhere. But there's more than we've seen. So let me ask you again. What would happen? What would happen? Aside from Trump, if he gets in, you're not going to see anything. Because the problems that we have suffered from are so subterranean, so deep. That's what scares me big time. And all this stuff that we talk about, it's big. Foreign policy. What's going to happen with that? And the story that is the biggest, and I listen to this all the time. It is my absolute number one focus. AI, AGI is going to be an existential change to society. And you don't even get it yet. Imagine who is the worst despotic leader? And you don't have to go for the big historicals, but if you don't like Trump or you don't like Biden, imagine an AI system today based on that way of thinking. Imagine that. Who's in charge of this? No one. Who's watching this? No one. Who understands it? No one. No one. No one understands this. No one gets it. It is the most. I would have, and Biden's not going to do it, I would have like the Manhattan Project or the SART Russell meetings, after Vietnam. I would have these town to town or these groups of people saying, let me explain this to you. You don't know what's going to happen. And the only thing anybody's talking about is who's going to lose their job. That's it. That's all that's happening, is who's going to lose their job. That's the depth of this. That is the most important issue there is. Because nobody knows what it is. And what people are doing is they're saying, you know what? We have one group of people who are sounding the alarm. And then you have other people like Gertzel and Kurzweil who say, no, let's just go, hit pedal to the metal. Let's go. Let's see there's no stopping this. I'm with Google. I can't stop. I'm not going to stop for a second. And remember, whenever you hear something, it's 5 years ahead. This is something which goes to the very notion of existential. Let me try this again for you, because I know you like the devil and I know you like God, and that's your thing, and that's okay. Okay, up until now, we were the biggest, the most powerful. Computers couldn't get near us. Oh, maybe we'll have one that can play computer, chess. That's okay. But that's it. That's it. That's all it did. Maybe it plays computer chess. This goes to show you that we are nothing compared to this. And when AI and AGI writes its own code, this recursive self-improvement, you have no idea. All bets, everything is off. Everything changes. And Tommy Lahren is not going to be there to explain this to you. They don't. There is. I don't know what you think intelligence is. I don't know what you consider this to be, what our intelligence is, but there's something in people, not all people, some people, because not everybody is responsible for think about it, a few people are responsible for the space race and mapping the genome and automobiles. It's not everybody. Just a few. And they weren't necessarily motivated by money. I mean, that was a part of it, certainly, but that was it. But that was this drive and this ambition. It's something that says, I'm going to learn what I've done before. And I'm going to, and you wait. Let me give you an example of something. It took forever for us to figure out how to put wheels on luggage. For as smart as we are, how long did it take for us to put wheels on luggage? It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen in my life. And not only that, luggage now that you just push. Remember when you had to pick up an actual suitcase, it weighed a ton. And we always talk about, since the invention of the wheel. We always talk about the invention of the wheel, and we never did it. We never used a wheel on luggage until fairly recently. We had trays and carry devices that you would put the suitcase in. I mean, it's just, okay. Imagine there is something that is working light years ahead of the smartest human beings, multiplying itself exponentially and growing in terms of intelligence so fast. Where does it stop? Who controls this? There's one particular AI program or device or application that taught itself Persian. It just did. It just did. And nobody is paying it. You always imagine, and we've been told about this since iRobot and Asimov and everything else from sci-fi days. This is the biggest. Nobody's even discussing it. And the funny part is, as we talk about artificial intelligence, they pick Carmelita Harris to run this, and the president, who is, for all practical purposes, he's a dotard, senescent, wizened, hobbled by decrepitude. He's unable to do this. If you are not freaked out, listen to what I'm saying. If you're not freaked out by what's happening, by where this world is going, because in the old days, the stuff that scares you would be bombs. You worried about bombs. It's all you cared about, bombs. They're gonna nuke us? That's not the problem. There's no need to nuke us. We are under attack at so many levels. Foreign policy, domestic policy, law and order, social movements internally, our culture, our historical revision, tradition, our identity, our collective psychiatric profile. Oh my God. And I've got Tommy Lahren is the actually presented to me by this group of people who said, well, this is good. Let me give you an example of something. Let me see if I can explain it this way. Let me explain. Imagine the following situation. Hypothetical. Here's a story. Horrible situation. A 98-year-old wheelchair-bound woman, great-grandmother, veteran, loved by her family or neighborhoods, is beaten to death, or God forbid, hypothetically, by some crazed, escapee, felon, mental hospital, fentanyl addict who has been released 7 times before, and now she's dead, and he was caught, and he was let go, and that's it. Okay. Now, if I took that story and I walked into radio stations, whatever they are, TV, news, and I took everybody there, from the New York Times until podcasting, and said, here is the story. What do you make out of this? Do you know how many aspects there are to this? The psychological implications, the psychiatric breakdown of that. What do we do with people who are sick, especially people who have been repeatedly released? But the law and order system, criminal justice system, about this seemingly escalating levels of depravity, blah, 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 blah. No. That's not what would be on Fox News or Tommy Lahren or whoever it is. No. Too deep. It would be, here's this woman. She was 98. And it's sick. And here's a picture of this guy. And he's sick. And it's sick. And that's it. Not low-hanging fruit. The fruit has fallen. The fruit is on the ground. It's rotting. That's the level of where we do it. We would just see the immediate story, the horror, and that's it. And we would immediately suck all of the nutrients out of the story. There would be no depth, no nothing, no appreciation for seeing what can I do to expand upon this. Say what you want about the New York Times. They're also very good, believe it or not, at kind of extrapolating the news. But that's where we would be right now. Because we're morons. That's all we would see. Would just be the bumper sticker news. Woman bludgeoned, killed, old, nice old lady, wheelchair, bad guy, Willie Horton, got it, that's it. End of discussion. Yesterday, as we speak, international news, alternative news, citizen civilian, but international, they were going crazy over this Turkey race with Erdogan, and how the West is basically upset with Elon Musk. Adam Schiff is saying, hey, Elon Musk, you rat you, you're giving in to that bad guy Erdogan who said, back off, Musk. There's an election coming up, and Elon Musk, to his credit, said, okay, world, I'm backing off, but I'm telling you what I'm doing. Unlike Twitter before me, who basically cut the New York Post off at the knees, didn't publish anything regarding Hunter Biden's laptop. This is my thing. I've got a business. I don't want to lose Turkey, but this is what I'm going to do, okay? You got it. Adam Schiff is screaming, but you was like, wait a minute. A couple of months ago, if you ever said anything about certain, dare I say, medical treatments, certain viral situations, certain means to prophylactic devices and the like, use as barrier methods, if you dare, you would be just crushed, absented, you would be disappeared, nobody said anything. And the hypocrisy of this. And believe it or not, European, foreign, they get it. They are so smarter than we are. They get it. They can break down the hypocrisy in levels that you can't believe. And what are we talking about? Tommy Lahren is saying, I think this debate's going to really be something. That's who we are. That's it. And I'm going to pick on Tommy Lahren, but I'm saying, but this to me is like an insult. You're insulting me. You are insulting me. If this is even, and I guess you just want blonde, young, or whatever, and that's fine. But if that's the way if that's what you think of me, Fox News and conservative news fronts, if that's what you think of me, I have no time for you. I have no time. I'm going over here. I want to go elsewhere. I'm reading. I'm digging. I understand what's going on. I understand what Erdogan means to NATO. I understand what's going on. I understand it from the time of Finland and what's going on. And Victoria Nuland, I got it. And believe it or not, the people that you think in our particular group who represent the conspirators, who are into things like DARPA and HARP, even they don't get this. Because this stuff is dry. They're the ones who would go for the story that says, old woman bludgeoned in wheelchair. I want to go after the other stories. The depth of this, the symbolism, the symbology. That's what this is about. And guess what? It ain't on cable news, and it ain't on Fox. And I hate to say it too, it's not here. Because what we're talking about is more and more concentrated direct. If I see one more in my, I don't know why I'm getting this, one more Ben Shapiro, one of these fast-talking, go to a college and yell at some kid and this means something? Or Jordan Peterson talking about licking meat or whatever this is just base. This is base. And you know who's the best one? Just when I think, okay, now he's going back, and then all of a sudden he redeems himself as Joe Rogan. Lex Friedman, fantastic, deep, unbelievable, wonderful. AI. Mearsheimer, God bless him. Realism, form, even Kotkin to an extent. He's okay. He's all right. I get it. And what do we have? Nothing. Sunday, nothing. Nothing. The height, and by the way, don't say height as people say. I don't know why they do that. It's height. The biggest story was Donald Trump on CNN. Not even a story. Not even a story. Not even remotely a story. It was okay. It was funny. They're still talking about it. The Hill. This. Remember that story? That morning. Oh God! It was called. It was a morning show on YouTube from The Hill. And they said, this is really deep. It's okay. It's good. And it was better, but it's still base. You want to talk about the lady getting bludgeoned in the wheelchair. I want to talk about other stuff. I want to talk about bigger things. And there's a lot of people out there too. And believe it or not, this is the best part. There are so many people out there who say, you know what, you're right about that. You're right. See, I've got news for you. If you think Donald Trump is your answer, you're out of your mind. You just don't understand it. If you think this is about Donald Trump versus Ron DeSantis, I've got no time for you. You clearly do not understand the issue. You're going to be arguing Marion Ann or Ginger or the Stones versus the Beatles. It is so corrupt, this system, and it's not. And you'd be surprised how little Joe Biden has to do with this. So what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do today? Tell me. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? What is going to be your goal today? What area are you going to tackle? What are you going to learn? When are you going to use your own artificial intelligence, your own machine learning? Tell me what you're going to learn. What subject do you need to know more about? Tell me. What do you need to know more about? I couldn't believe yesterday when I was talking about the devil, the people who were the loudest about the devil know nothing about it. Where did it come from? Where did this image come from? Remember Bess, the Egyptian? I don't know what you're talking about. Lucifer, it was a star. What? Satan, the God's advocate? I don't know what you're talking about. Same thing with Marxism. So what are you going to learn today? What are you going to learn today? Tell me what you're going to learn. You're going to watch me at 7 p.m. Thank you, Sean. That's true. By the way, they're rising. Very, very good. Very, very good. At least they're trying. At least they're trying something. Something. But what are you going to learn today? What do you not need? What do you not understand? Here's one for you. Understand who Erdogan is in Turkey. Why is that? Why is that historically? Why is Ankara? What is the significance of it? Oh my God! Spend some time. YouTube, for all of its stupidity, has some of the best. The lectures are wonderful. Just start off with somebody telling you something. You know what I was listening to before? Ready for this? You know what I was listening to? You ready for this? I was listening to these young communists. I forget what her name was. I want to hear what communists have to say. Listen to what I'm saying. Listen to AOC. Don't listen to Tommy Lahren talking about AOC. Listen to AOC. If you want to find out what's going on, listen to the source. If you want to know what Marxists are saying, do it. Listen to what a Marxist says. Listen to what they say. If you want to hear what China says, listen to what China says. Don't listen to somebody tell you what, China, they're bad people. I saw this article. They were decrying the fact that China had some dissenter in prison. And what happened was, here's the best part, we have Julian Assange. Oh, yeah, that again. By the way, yesterday we went to a store. I love food stores. Just love, I don't know why. And there was the most incredible, the number of flowers, people for Mother's Day. I hope everybody had a good Mother's Day yesterday. And I hope you recognize that mothers are women. And I never thought I'd have to say this. But I hope there was an appreciation for that. And I hope we always do have mothers. I hope we do. I know it sounds crazy. But it was really something to see this. It was really something to see this appreciation, at least for the notion of Father's Day is like kind of like, well, whatever. And that's okay. I understand that. But a mother? I hope we never, ever, 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 ever. And let me ask you something. One of the tried and true methods of who we are is the fact that we are raised in our mother's womb. And there is that blood-brain barrier, that connection. Let me ask you this question. Let's say I go into an egg, an ovum, and I evacuate it. I pull out the DNA, and I replace the DNA with my DNA. And then I zap it, some electricity, and all of a sudden I go, oh, I got a little embryo going. And I put it in vitro, and it's looking nice. And yep, this is my clone. This is my DNA in there, and it's growing. And then I take it, and I implant it. And there might be some question as to what happens if you implanted somebody else's body. Is it going to change? There's an epigenetic component to it. But anyway, but this thing is born. And my clone is born. Okay? You got it? It's me. It's my clone. Now, clone's born at the hospital. I'm there. Da-da-da. Here's my clone. I'm on Facebook. Welcome, my clone. There it is. Now, the woman or the hospital person comes around and says, I'd like to fill out the forms for the birth certificate. Let me ask you a question. This is a clone. Futuristic, albeit, nonetheless. Who are the parents of the clone? First question. Who are the parents of the clone? And the answer is your parents. You're the clone, or you're the clone or cloner. This is your clone. the clone's parents are your parents because the clone is you. Okay, let's assume that you decide you don't want to pay for the hospital bill of your clone, and or support. And you say, well, where is the mother of this? There is no mother. Well, there's a surrogate mother, but she's not really the mother. She's the womb mate. Anyway, well, we're going to bring a support action against you. What do you mean? Well, you're the father. I'm not the father. It's me. I don't have to support me. Yeah, but what are you going to do? Contract this? Because I was the one responsible for bringing this? You're going to what? What does this mean? How does this work? But it's me. No, it's your son. No, it's not. It's no relation to me. It's me. And I don't want to have anything to do with me. The law always lags behind technology. The law says, well, what is this? We don't know what it is. So you say, okay, parents of the clone, your parents. I got a better one. The clone then goes to your parents. The clone somehow, rose up, and your parents die. Your parents are wealthy. Your clone wants to take under the will of your parents because this is their son or daughter. Even though they have no idea who you are, never heard of you, they've never met you. In the birth certificate shows parents. Yes, but I didn't agree to that. Well, what does that mean? What do you mean you didn't agree? If you had a son, and your son, like Hunter Biden, went off and had some dalliance with a stripper or some fallen angel, and a child was born, that child claims the same, even though the parents have nothing. So what does this clone do? I don't know. We have no idea what this means. They're making a big deal about Robert De Niro being a father at 79. Why? What's the big deal of that? He has motile sperm. So what? You could take a device with somebody who was dead, who's in the hospital, somebody who was paralyzed. You can take a device, and go to a man, and by virtue, I don't want to go into the specifics of it, but by inserting various places and a little bit of electric charge, boom, I can get a sample. And I can inseminate an egg in vitro after you've dead. Posthumous insemination, or one could call it a form of sexual violation. So what? All of this is changing. And by the way, what I've just described to you is nothing. That's going to happen. I guarantee you. It's going to happen. You're going to say, well, we tried Dolly. Forget Dolly. This is going to happen. All I'm telling you is that if you are not petrified as to what's happening in the real world, you have no idea what's happening. It's going to blow your mind. And what you're seeing and what you're reading and what you're hearing about on cable news and whatever is so minimal, it doesn't even begin to grasp how exciting things are. Oh. All right, my friends. That's it. You have a great and a glorious day. That's all I'm going to say to you. You have a great and a glorious and a very, very simple day. And let me just say something to you. To my dear friend. To Ricky Lee, thank you. Thank you for your kindness, your beneficence. I appreciate it immensely. Please sign up for the newsletter. Oops. Hang on a minute. That's not good. Just a minute. Okay. Do. Let's see. Where do we go? There we go. Close enough. Stand by for a second. Live. We go to live. And then we go here. Okay. And there we go. Terrific. Now, let me make sure I get a copy of this. Please sign up for the newsletter. This is important. This is critical. I want you to sign up for this. It's coming out today. And why people do not understand this, I will never know. Let me try this again. This is it. Copy. One more time. If only life were like this. There we go. Subscribe to it. Please do that now. Subscribe comes out later today. It's just a very simple thing. It's nothing really deep to it. It's just an email with a variety of observations, which I think you'll find interesting. What I want you to do is I want you to promise me that you will learn something today on your own. You will go and you will figure it out. You will say, I'm going to learn this. I'm going to learn about Turkey. I'm going to learn about Erdogan. I'm going to learn about this. I'm going to learn about why this is important. And I'm going to learn about him, about NATO. I'm going to do this on my own. I'm going to learn something. I'm not going to wait and have Tommy Lahren come and tell me something. I'm going to do it. I'm going to learn this on my own. I'm going to learn everything there is to know about the devil or my diabetes or this and that. And I want you to start doing this. I'm going to get you to do this. And you will love it. You'll be so glad. You'll be so proud of what you did. All right, dear friends, have a great and glorious day. Don't ever change. I mean that sincerely. We will see you tonight, this evening at 7 p.m. Have a great and a glorious and a wonderful day. Until then, remember these words. This is what I always say. The monkey's dead. The show's over. Sue ya. Ta-ta.